So I want to make sure that you realize these are two different things, right? So we have the long-term goal, which is the thing that lights you up. And then we have the process, the individual process of how do I reevaluate and set my life up so I'm stumbling over the change that I would desire in like ultimately and infuse my life with that. Welcome to the Reframe, from the couch to the conversation, where you will learn skills and strategies to up-level your mental, physical, and emotional well-being so you can access more vitality and energy to do the things that you love, deepen your relationships with others as well as yourself, and show up every day as the person you know you're meant to be. I am your host, Rebecca Mohlman, trauma therapist turned coach. And today we're going to start to identify what lights us up from the inside out and ignites our passion and purpose. Then we are going to look at how we intentionally infuse more alignment in that direction in everyday moments of our life. We'll take a look at small ways to infuse this intentional alignment into your daily choices and habits. This episode is a little bit more freestyle, and I truly hope you enjoy it. Trip over the change that you desire to see in yourself. Today, what I'd like to do is go to 10,000 feet and ask the question of what is the change I would like to see in the world? Where am I moved? Where am I passionate about seeing that change in the world? And then that will be able to pivot back where you are able to hone in on the change that you want to see in yourself to be able to align with the change you want to see in the world, which is also activating your service. There is a lot of science, there is a lot of just life experience that shows us that when we are aligned with a deeper sense of meaning and purpose and activate our service, there is much more fulfillment in life. So the first question is, what change do I want to see in the world? What change do I want to be a part of in the world? And then at that point, what do I need to align in my life to make sure I'm showing up in acts of service in that direction? And say you work at a coffee shop, right? And your big dream, your big passion, your big desire is, and not even monetarily driven. That's the beautiful thing about this, is that what just lights you up? What really brings you to life on the inside? And maybe for this individual, for example, is saving ocean animals. Okay, just for example. But they're working at a coffee shop. Okay, well, if they've identified that's one of the problems that they want to solve and honing it down, well, how do I want to try to solve that problem? Well, there's a beach by my house, and I could help orchestrate different ways to be able to clean up the beaches and keep some of this stuff out of the ocean. Okay. So, where people oftentimes will get stuck is that is very different from the job that they. So, how do we do this when it seems so almost disconnected, right? So, in this example, someone's trying to bring more health and healing to the oceans and the ocean creatures and the health and vitality of our water system, which is really important. But they're working at a coffee shop. So, how can they infuse what they're already doing, moments of serving that higher purpose, with what they're already doing? And eventually, what you might notice is that people that really commit to serving their higher purpose or their passion, what they're called to come here to do, it will start diluting the architecture of what they think they should do and create momentum and capacity to align with that passion. When you and when you align with that passion, one of the biggest fears is, am I going to make money at this? Because we do need financial stability, right? And I guess I would encourage you to not worry about that right now, because we're not saying give up your job. What we're saying is, or what I'm saying is, look at what lights you up. Look at what you're passionate about. Look at what really infuses vitality down to every cell in your body. And then how can you microdose that throughout your day in a way that you're more and more in alignment with that inner passion, inner desire, and acts of service? What's interesting is going back, tripping over the change you desire is that we get caught up in these old patterns and these old ways of being that are just out of habit. They're just out of repetition that we continue them, and looking very intentionally to see if they are in alignment with where I really want to be going. So an example for that is that maybe your goal, so our prefrontal cortex, our rational side of our brain, is really good at coming up with these goals, right? It's very logical, very straightforward, very analytical, goal oriented. That's really only one relatively small piece of the puzzle. You have to be able to do that. And that's one of the gifts that we have, differentiates us between maybe animals and being a human, is this ability to look into the future and goal set. But what other areas of your life are you stumbling into old patterns that are not aligning with them? So let's go back to that example. You still have to show up for work at the coffee shop. Okay. But you want to make sure that whatever it is that's lighting you up is coming front and center in many different moments of the day. So, what are you listening to? Is it in alignment? Is it pulling you out of resonance, emotional, energetic resonance with where you want to go? There was a study done with music, actually, and people that had depression. And the individuals that maintained listening to more harmonic states versus literally metal, death metal kind of style music, they went through therapeutic process, and one group did not go back to, and it sounds silly, but literally death metal, like listening to that music. And another group went back to what their listening behavior was before. And the group that went back, they had diminished their anxiety, they had reduced their depression. But the people that went back to the resonant tones that the death metal music produced went back into anxiety and depression. And that's a really big deal, because if we're infusing our life, if we're surrounding ourselves with people, situations, what we're listening to, what we're watching, what we're exposing ourselves to, and it is not in alignment with where we want to go, it'll continue to pull us back into those old patterns and create this kind of pull where you don't feel like you're getting any momentum. So how can you intentionally put things in your way that you trip over the change that you desire? What are the things that you're going to listen to? What are the experiences that bring you joy and excitement and life to you? Maybe right when you get off work, or maybe just on the car ride home. Maybe before going to bed, it's not just zoning out on a video game or Netflix. Maybe you take a moment to listen to something inspirational. Maybe it's not even a meditation, but just listening to something that inspires you. So I want to make sure that you realize these are two different things, right? So we have the long-term goal, which is the thing that lights you up. And then we have the process, the individual process of how do I reevaluate and set my life up so I'm stumbling over the change that I would desire in, like, ultimately, and infuse my life with that. So I hope that is helpful for today. That's definitely something that's been on my mind lately. I would love to hear what it is that you are going to intentionally put in your way throughout the day. Whether it's a really cool podcast, whether it's maybe just shifting your music that you're listening to while you're doing other things throughout the day, whether it's intentionally curating time to talk to a family member that you love and adore, but just really don't carve that time out for. Whether it's intentionally sitting down with one of your furry animals or children and knowing that you're going to create space for reading to them for that evening. These are just examples on changing patterns and trying to intentionally infuse into our lives what we really desire. But it does take effort. And anytime we make change, it is going to feel like effort until it gets into flow. And then it'll be fueled by your natural desire right behind it. And it'll become easier. So I hope, again, this is helpful. Please do share. And I look forward to seeing you next time. It is important to start asking the question of what really lights you up, because it will be the compass to bring more definition to meaning and purpose. Intentionally aligning your day to day actions and choices with what lights you up will start to bring such a deep sense of fulfillment. If this episode was helpful for you and you know someone that needs to hear this today, please share it on your social media or email it to a friend. It helps to get the content to the people that really need to hear it the most. Until next time, be well.